I'm Jason Schroeder, the senior producer at Ubisoft San Francisco.
Jason, what are you showing new here with South Park: The Fractured?
So in South Park: The Fractured But Whole, today we're showing the player classes, the ability for you to mix and match powers, the ability for you to create a superhero all your own, and then building a superhero team out of the boys of South Park, and then taking those kids into a Civil War combat on the streets of South Park and having a superhero showdown.
So the graphics look great, they look just like the show, but I'm told that's actually misleading because it actually is it needs a lot of power to run very smoothly with all those high-res textures and lines.
So we're actually building the game from the ground up with Snowdrop, and so that's a lot of streaming technology, the same sort of tech that's behind The Division. But the show and our game are actually built in very similar technologies, so we take assets from the show, chew on them a little bit, and actually just put them into the game.
So talk about Matt, Stone, and Trey Parker's involvement in the game and how much they get their hands in it.
So Matt and Trey being involved in the game has given us a lot of insight into what they value in terms of comedy. They want the story to really hit, they want it to be authentic, but they also want to make a great game, something that they themselves as players want to play. So they actually work with us on game mechanics through board game playing and stuff like that. We sort of unify our language of what we're trying to build. But then also just, they want a joke to land. We talk about trying to hit emotional moments. And they both bring Trey as like a hardcore RPG kind of player, and Matt as more of a casual game player, like more of a Division player. Between the two of them, we have a great sort of barometer of, are we making a game that's both hardcore and casual?
So is there anything in the game that you really wanted to put in and the upper lead said, let's not, and say we did?
As far as content that we try to put in, we're always trying to look for our own jokes, our own creativity to bring. So far there hasn't really been anything that has been too far or not right, but I think that as we keep editing down and finding the right speed of jokes and emotion and stuff like that, I think it's going to be a mix of what Matt and Trey have written originally and then what they sort of edited that we brought.
The combat in the Stick of Truth was very straightforward. Everyone kind of dealt damage and did X amount of damage, but in this game there actually are roles and classes that are really important to winning your match.
Right. So in the last game it was purely turn-based, and so you'd have the good guys on the left-hand side, the bad guys on the right, and you just sort of take turns hitting each other across the screen. Now with the ability to have 4 people on your side and the ability to move around the space, all of a sudden how far a player can move versus that if they shield themselves up or get behind cover, all of those little choices matter, and it brings a whole different layer of depth to those combat moments.
Now, when I was playing the demo, in the fights you get hit back and forth. Are there certain characters that can only hit top and bottom or up down?
So we have different types of combat powers. Mostly they are about moving the combat back and forth in lanes, but then there are powers that can move people up and down, or they can attack in more of like a grenade lob sort of direction, and it's the combination of the left-right battlefield control, but then also to be able to explode north and south that really gives you choice in how you take on a fight.
You guys also have a new crafting system in the game. Talk about that.
Yeah, so last time in Stick you were collecting a lot of ingredients or different things that you could use to equip onto your character, or patches and things like that. In the Fractured But Whole, we wanted to take all that loot that you gather and help you sort of assemble it into new things, whether it's outfits or artifacts that you can equip onto yourself to give you more power. And so whether you're finding recipes or just loot, you're always sort of working toward a new goal of a way to power yourself up.
And when does South Park: The Fractured But Whole come out?
South Park: The Fractured But Whole comes out on December 6th on PS4, Xbox One, and PC.